Joining me now in the gardens of the Hotel Regina Isabella is one of the stars of Cairo Time, Alexander Siddig.
That's my pleasure.
And how are you enjoying the festival so far?
Sun, beach, swimming pool. It's a real drag.
Yeah. Cairo Time seems to be creeping its way around the festival circuit at the moment,
Yeah.
and with a limited US release, I believe that's imminent, with no UK date scheduled. It's a hard film to see, but an incredible piece if you're lucky enough. I mean, what's the feeling? It must be quite frustrating to work on something so good that at the moment is still seeking its audience.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is that we've got a 25-city release in America, 6th of August. So it's going to have an audience. And I believe some other countries in the world, but I haven't seen all the numbers. From what I understand, the French, the English, aren't all that interested because it's not political enough. It's just a love story. And if it's got Arabs in it, then they think it should be political and complex, which is we won't go into the mild xenophobia attached to that issue, but there is obviously, that's the problem. They want a deeply political piece, and they're probably used to seeing me do taut dramas get blown up, unhappy terrorist or happy terrorist, whatever the hell it is. But this is just a guy who falls in love with a girl.
And how did you get involved with the project?
Ruba rang me, it's a couple of years ago now, and so I got this wonderful script, and my agent obviously interceded, and I said, well, I'd love to see it. And I read it, and she was right. She wasn't kidding. It was just a lovely, understated, gentle box of chocks,
So she really translated what was on the page in the finished product?
Absolutely. She's the simplest of directors. She has the most focused understanding of what she's doing. She's written the piece, she films the piece. There's no clutter, no histrionics, no drama, apart from the drama that ends up on actual film. And it was just such a lovely, it's one of those, movies that if it were a book, I would take it away on holiday with me. It's like that. And it was wonderful.
Well, now that American audiences will see the film, what do you think it is on a character level that people will be intrigued by with Cairo Time?
I wonder. I always wonder what on earth makes people like characters in movies. I suppose we always underestimate how much people can mine the humanity of the characters they see on the screen and get excited about them. And I'm hoping that's going to be the same sort of thing. They can only respond to the humanity of the people they see. And Patricia Clarkson and myself knocking around on screen for an hour and a half hopefully does the job.
Were you familiar with the director's previous work before you
No.
signed on to this?
No, I hadn't seen a thing, and I didn't want to see anything because I didn't want to know. I liked her, and I liked her script, and I didn't need some other movie competing, in my mind with the movie that I was concentrating on. So I took her word for it, and I'm really glad I did.
As a recognisable character actor, this was the first time I'd ever seen you centre stage in a film like this. Did you put added pressure on yourself, or did that come naturally? Did you feel that way?
Yeah, no, I took it exactly the same way as I take every other part. Just a lovely job. This one happened to be romantic, and that was fantastic. I'd never had a chance to do that. I wasn't even sure I was romantic myself, but clearly there's some parts of me that are romantic, and I just relished it. There was no pressure. I've been acting for 20 years, and I sometimes surprise myself with that knowledge, but this sort of thing is just manna to me. So more screen time, terrific. More words, terrific. Let's bring it on, bring it on, bring it on.
Well, like you said earlier, it must have been exciting to be in a part that called for romance, which is not something we associate with your CV.
No, absolutely not. Politics, yeah. Disaster, yeah. Science fiction, and you name it, anything. I think I've been killed off in about 15 different movies or TV shows. I think I must hold the record as an actor today for deaths on screen. So it was really nice not to die, and to enjoy not dying, to be falling in love with someone.
Well, let's talk about who you're falling in love with.
Sure.
Patricia Clarkson.
How long have you got?
Play as long as you need. I mean, being that she's not here, you can
She's
you
not
can
here.
fill in.
She's not here. I won't
You
talk
can
for her,
you can
but-
tell us all we need to know.
Yeah, okay, I'll
To
try.
play opposite such a prolific titan as Patricia Clarkson, it surely must have been one of the most fulfilling creative experiences of your career so far.
Yeah, it was. I mean, she was, you know, she's like the Katharine Hepburn of today, really. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. She's this amazing, amazing actress, and you know, the more mature she gets, the better she gets. And you know, you basically take a ride in her eyes when the scene starts, and you end up wherever the hell you end up. And I enjoyed it. You know, you have to fall in love a little bit in real life.
I imagine
to pull
that
this
can't be
stuff
too
off.
hard with Patricia
Not
Clarkson.
too hard with those beautiful eyes. So yeah, she was a dream co-star.
Were you familiar with her work?
Nope. I am the most rubbish
Oh,
actor
so it
in
was
the
a sense
world.
of surprise more than
I had
excitement.
no idea who she was. I knew her name, you know, because I'd heard it, and I knew she'd been nominated for an Oscar, but I hadn't really seen the work. I live in the country, miles away from anywhere, and I never go to the cinema. It's like an hour and 20 minutes to the nearest cinema, so I very rarely see stuff unless it's on DVD, and then I'm working and I'm seeing things that usually are useful for what I'm working on. So it was a pleasant surprise. But I'd heard the build-up. Ruba has said, people drop a name, you know whether they think it's going to be an important name or not. And they didn't say, well, we've got Patricia Clarkson, who is a really good actor, by the way. They just said, we've got Patricia Clarkson. And I was like, okay, this is an important person. So I came on set, we said hello, and we started to dance, and that was the beginning of the movie. And it was great. It was terrific. We just didn't really stop for breath. We finished work. We went upstairs to the roof of the hotel where they had a restaurant, and we talked about the next day's work. And then, exhausted, we all fell in a heap in bed, and not together, but with the director, the cameraman. But it was just a terrific organic process. And before we knew it, it was over. It was sort of 5 or 6 weeks. I can't remember how many weeks in Cairo. That just came to an end, and we had a movie, and I've been living with it ever since and cherishing it and loving it, and it's a really good sign.
Well, today has certainly been one of the most humid days in recent memory here for the festival. What was the weather like in Egypt compared to here in terms of the type of heat and just working under those conditions, with lights and cameras as well?
You can up the ante quite a lot. You can sort of, by a factor of 3, double all the numbers. I mean, multiply all the numbers. It's so hot and so humid and so dense in terms of population and people's energy and what they're doing around you. That we might have a little space on camera, but the very edge of the frame is crowded with hundreds of people wanting to see what you're doing. And you're not going to tell them to stop looking at what's happening in their own city. And we had no police. It wasn't a big production. It wasn't like, they're going to shut off the road. It wasn't a Woody Allen style movie in New York. No. It was, we were just guerrilla filmmaking. We were running around, setting up the camera, and just starting, and getting away with whatever we could get away with before we got swamped by all the people. It was intense. It was really intense. But they were all friendly. They were curious and pressing and seething and struggling for space around us. But there was never an unfriendly moment, never a moment when you thought, I'm in danger of my life here. It was just like, oh my God, all these people are watching. It's just a bit it's like theatre, except they can't hear what the hell you're saying because we mumble our words in film. So it was intense all over the place. Intense weather, intense geographically, amazing.